Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this is my part 2 video on becoming a power couple in relationship. And part 2 offers you some fascinating examples from both Vedic astrology and psychodynamic Western astrology of how these two astrologies, indeed these two astrologies combined, can offer you such useful identification of you and your partner's difficult love scripts, and what the way that can be positively used is a relationship healing method I described in the part 1 video. I've tested it for over a year now. I'm really impressed. It's simple and profound. Have a look at part 1. But we are doing part 2, which is insights from the two astrologies. So let's focus on just the tiniest selection of examples from the vastness of Vedic astrology first. And the first example I'd share is the Nakshatras, the wonderful 27 lunar signs of Vedic astrology. They are such a boon to be aware of. They so clearly can define a person's love script, their behaviour scripts in love relationship. And, I always include these in the readings I give and in the relationship readings as well as the individual readings. So you'd look at the Nakshatras, which are occupied by your moon, your sun and your ascendant. And such a stunningly accurate depiction can arise, good points and warts and all. So, for example, a key insight that could be so useful to hear, and one has to be open to things that sound critical, is that, for example, if you have one of the key 3 planets in Ashlesha Nakshatra, that has the potential to develop such a lot of spiritual vision, insight and awareness and knowledge, but their tendency in relationship can be to be too critical. And that is one of the scripts that would have to be healed. A second nakshatra example I'd mention is Ardra Nakshatra. And these people can tend to be ruthlessly my way or the highway. And because that's in the sign of Gemini, sidereal Gemini, of course, they love to denounce. So, the survival of their love relationship will depend on the recognition and the healing of this facet. Okay, a second example from Vedic astrology, nakshatra power animals. Each nakshatra has a power animal or yoni. Let's take a couple of very scratching the surface but wonderful examples. Dhanishta's power animal is the lioness, and it's ruled by Mars. Bharani Nakshatra's power animal is the bull elephant, and it's ruled by Venus. Now obviously it's crucial to know your nakshatras. If you're getting together with a Martian lioness or a Venusian bull elephant, it's so helpful to know this and work on the issues that will come up so as to heal the negative facets. I'm being positive here. The wonderful Vedic astrology insights can so help a couple shed their identified negative characteristics. They can thus enter on the journey of healing with so much more awareness, the journey of healing that I expressed in my part 1 video. Just a third tiny example of nakshatras getting together. If a Chitra nakshatra person gets together with a Vishaka Nakshatra person, well, this is the union of the female tiger with the male tiger. There will be bonding, but claws could fly. Okay, moving to a third example, Darakarika. A person's Darakarika or love indicator is another example from the wonders Vedic astrology offers. Your Darakarika states the sort of person you are needing and looking for in love. So to cite just one example, put very briefly, if Sun is your Darakarika, this doubtless indicates that your own sense of self is weak, and therefore you're searching for and need a strong partner. But you need to realise that the inbuilt trickster side here is, of course, that you may find your beloved partner, their Sun persona, at times is just too bossy or brutal. You need their strength, but of course the bossy or brutal facet could set in a lifetime of intermittent violent quarrelling, and that script you can identify and heal. See my snakes shedding their negative skins model I mentioned in part 1. And by the way, on the matter of quarrels, if this is in your pattern, the couple needs to agree that a halt must be called before things get too out of hand. They could, for example, adopt a key word that calls for a halt and a cool-off period. And then all of the love can have a bit of a time to reassert, and the matter can be identified and shared in the way described in the part 1 video. Another section, the last one I'll mention from Vedic astrology, could be called, it is sometimes called in Vedic astrology, impediments to love. And I've just done a couple of videos and blogs on the Saturn-Venus combination and the Saturn-Mars combination. And in fact, they're the chief ones. So have a look at those. And those impediments to love can so usefully lend themselves to the snakes shedding their negative skins model. Now let's turn to some quick, tiny Western examples, which are hugely important. The 4 I've mentioned already are just 4 examples from the 1,000 possible from Vedic astrology. But let's now turn to psychodynamic Western astrology. And I'd particularly mention chart aspect shape astrology. It can be so useful in guiding a couple to a path of needed skin shedding. For example, there's one chart aspect shape that is called the cradle. This person is seeking a cradle in their life. And it can be so helpful to include in the skin shedding work where a person is endlessly seeking cradling rather than becoming the fullness of themselves. And of course, a little tip here is that if the chart aspect shape of the cradle is upside down at the top of the chart, the person's quest is futile because the upside down cradle will always tip them out. And there are many other chart aspect shapes that can be usefully healed by the model I've mentioned. There's the righteousness rectangle, which can become the mystic rectangle. There's the irritation triangle, the irritation rectangle, the shield, and many, many more. Now I'm ending my tiny, tiny list of examples from Western astrology with a small crucial mention of the big 2, Chiron and Lilith. Obviously, great and totally needed gifts from Western astrology need to be added to the vastness of Vedic astrology. So yes, obviously the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune and Pluto. But in addition, crucially, we must add in to our awareness, when I give you this in a reading, whether it's individual or relationship reading, Chiron, our existential wound, and Lilith, our shadow and our wild side. These two are totally needed if our relationship scripts are to be fully and adequately understood. For example, just to give you a clue what's going on here, Vedic astrology can tell someone, oh, you have a really strong Mars in Scorpio. But they know nothing of the fact that the person has Chiron conjunct that Mars. And so that Mars is not strong at all. It's severely wounded, but can become the wounded healer if healing can occur. So, a quick mention of the necessities of Chiron and Lilith. So Chiron is our existential wound, in the healing of which we can become the healer of others. All Chiron wounds to the other planets are problems for the expression of love and fit so well into my two snakes entering into loving agreement to shed negative skin after negative skin model, healing their blocks and becoming a power couple in relationship. So let's just take the one specimen example of Chiron conjunct Mars that I mentioned. We'll use a man example for Chiron, a woman example for Lilith. So Chiron conjunct Mars guy could very well be an example of failed fathering of him. And this banished his masculinity to the shadow and the unconscious. And so he can bring denied violence or unconscious hostility to his relationship. And he has to build up from scratch his masculine nature. My snakes casting negative skin after negative skin model is so good in being part of a guy's Chiron healing. Okay, as a final example, let's look at Lilith. It's crucial to know about your Lilith. If it's aspecting your Venus and Mars, especially for relationship, or indeed any other planet. Now I'm going to give a tiny example of a wound for a woman with Lilith conjunct her moon in her birth chart. Lilith is our shadow side. It is so crucial to see what is buried there. What negatives are lying there, controlling our choices in life, driving our actions, and we don't know why. And of course, also lying there is our buried power that was disallowed by our parents, society, priests or teachers or whatever. And most important also, Lilith is also our buried wild side. It is so crucial for each person to know about their Lilith, the truths of it. Just one of the facets of Lilith conjunct moon, the example we're giving here, is that the woman might not have had nurturing true mothering. And I've found this over and over again. And indeed, the woman might also have had mothering that stuffed her wild side into the shadow. You're only allowed to be a good girl. So basically, she wasn't the nice, quiet girl that was wanted. Whereas we all need to know about our wild side. It's a key to us properly, fully expressing ourselves. It's one of the reasons we incarnated. But of course, we need to not act out negative, feral, destructive facets of it, and it can be made much more negative, feral and destructive because it's been stuffed down into our shadow and disallowed. but we all need to be able to take a walk on our wild side to become the fullness of us and achieve in this life. And a very special note, a project I'm absolutely loving and fascinated with, is that wonders can be had because I'm extending the study of Lilith and Chiron into the divisional charts of Vedic astrology. These are called the Varga charts, and each of your Vedic astrology Varga charts says supreme wonders about a particular area of your life. And to see where Lilith and Chiron lie in your Varga charts, and to see where Lilith and Chiron affected planets lie in your Varga charts, is absolutely eye-opening and crucial. Just to name one example, the second Varga chart, the D2, the horror, one of the issues it brilliantly states is your gender issues. And it has been so helpful to me to have developed that tool for sharing with the people, the individuals and couples I do. So, get a reading from me about your own life or your relationship. You can get reading about your own life on my Star Wheel Astrology website, or if it's more relationship orientated, there's my Love Star Dating website. Do subscribe to our blogs, Star Wheel Astrology and Love Star Dating. Do see the healings offered by my wife Maggie Pashley, and indeed all the healers on the healer pages in Love Star Dating. So I hope I have adequately conveyed to you the wonders of the method of relationship healing, which I've seen working. And I hope you're enthused by my tiny examples of the myriad examples possible of how Western and Vedic astrology can teach us as to our scripts for love. Thank you.